Hey, how about them tops, son?
All day, SEC boys. SEC, they supposed to be SEC. Crazy all day, baby.
You're listening to the RedOUT Podcast.
So like a lot of you, I get those annoying phone calls, the Medicare, Medicaid. But the real wake-up call for me was when I ordered 2 computers from Amazon. But I didn't order 2 computers from Amazon, you say. Oh, somebody else did. Yeah, that was a close call for me. I realized that my personal information was out there, and I was vulnerable. But how are so many people able to get a hold of my information? One reason might be irresponsible companies. For example, AT&T revealed that over 73 million customer records, both former and existing, were exposed on the dark web. They recommended those affected use strong passwords, monitor account activity, and consider credit freezes or fraud alerts from credit bureaus. That's a lot of work for us to do because one company couldn't keep their data safe. This is why I use Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura does all of this for me, and best of all, it's all in one app. If my info was compromised in the AT&T data breach, I wouldn't worry because Aura would already be protecting me. Don't sacrifice your privacy because it's a chore to keep up with it. Aura makes it easy. Aura is always on, doing the hard work of keeping my information safe. I value my privacy, and so should you. You guys should check out Aura. You can go to aura.com/RedOut, or that link is in the description below to start your free trial. Thanks to Aura for sponsoring today's video. And let's get back to that Hilltopper action.
Matt, how y'all doing? How's it going, Matt?
What's up, buddy? How we doing, man? Go Tops.
Doing pretty good. Kind of sad news to start off with. Passing of a legend, Pete Rose, passing away this past week. I hate to hear that. I'm sorry. I don't know how you stand on this, Matt, but I think it's time to finally put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame.
Man, I mean, he got like 2,000 more hits than everybody else ever.
Yeah,
Something ridiculous.
He hit more he hit more people than Mike Tyson. I'm just saying, like he hit every, he's the leading batting hitter in baseball. And I know supposedly he had a lifetime ban from baseball, but at this point, like he has passed away, let's posthumously put him in the Hall of Fame. Let's do it.
I'm with you 100%.
One of my favorite Pete Rose stories, I'll do it real quick, was he was talking about his gambling, and they were talking about what was the craziest thing you ever saw. And he said the craziest thing that ever happened to him, he was betting on a race somewhere in Ohio. His horse is coming around. He's fixing to win big. And final stretch, his horse is beating every other horse by like 20 yards. Nobody's close. And a deer jumped and took out the jockey. Yeah, I love it. And of course, like in order for the race to finish correctly, the jockey has to be on the horse.
The horse crossed the finish line, the jockey didn't.
Yes, he got taken out by a deer.
I've never heard of that. That's insane.
Yeah, I was like, that's great. But you got some Conference USA news, you said?
Yeah, well, there's a major announcement. The last few days, as we're recording, it's been a couple days, I think, that we kind of knew this. UTEP has been announced that they will be joining the Mountain West. Mountain West has announced that UTEP has whatever. And so big picture, honestly, it doesn't super affect Conference USA because honestly, it sucks to travel to UTEP. But so it's not, and they kind of, like we talked about off the air or whatever, they kind of suck at everything. So I don't know what we're really missing. But anyway,
they are 0-4 this year so far. So
right, a lot of their sports are not very elite. There are a few that they're okay at, but they're not. Like, it's not worth the travel. Like, they're not adding a huge, significant program in very many sports. They have a national championship in basketball, but they haven't done anything in years and years. So other than lose to us in a championship game, but big picture college athletics, it certainly could shake up some more. There was rumor that Texas State was kind of flirting with the Mountain West, and it felt like it might happen, and then it kind of went sour, and they're going to stay in the Sun Belt. And the AAC is looking at stuff, and some AAC teams are looking at the Mountain West, and so there could be a big shakeup here in the next few weeks. And it seems like the Mountain West, Pac-12, and if there's any other leagues that are having to react, that may have something happen here in the month of October. So let's keep an eye out and see what happens. But hopefully, WKU gets an opportunity to go into a better conference than Conference USA. And I hope that we take it and don't screw it up. But we'll see.
Historically, I don't have a lot of faith. I'll say that on record, that we will change conferences. I would like to see us change conferences. I know some people are kind of like, well, we should be in a conference where we're not the ones that are allowing people in from FCS. But I think when you're, G5, then that's what happens. You're going to get in this conference, and you're going to be here with the new guys sometimes. That's what the Sun Belt was when you and I were in school, Matt. And then Western stepped out of the Sun Belt into Conference USA, which seemed to be more of a stepping to bigger conferences. And now it's almost as if the Conference USA has kind of started letting in FCS schools, which it has.
Yeah, I think, the key is with all that conference realignment stuff is whatever conference you're in, hopefully they make good additions and they don't just allow good programs to walk if they can do anything about it. And what happened was the Sun Belt was the crappiest league when Western was in it. Then we moved and, moved into Conference USA because it's such a reputable conference and everything. Well, a lot of the programs that
we were
were
there
kind of marginal.
We were there
They
for what,
went-
8 years or so before the kind of the switch happened.
We were in what, 8 years? The Sun Belt for 8 years, or what do you mean?
I think so. I'll go ahead. You do your thing. I'll look it up.
No, you're good. Let's see. So it would have been like 07 to, well, it would have been close to 8 years. I think 13 was the first year. 2014 was the first year that we were fully in Conference USA. So it was 7 or 8 years. But basically, what happened was the Sun Belt made good additions. They added like Coastal, and they've added James Madison, Appalachian State. Those were all FCS programs that came up, but they were really, really good, especially football programs, but pretty good athletics programs in general. They still had Louisiana Lafayette, South Owl. They had some pretty good programs that had some solid athletics, and they had all teams that kind of made sense together. They've added Marshall. I don't really think they made great decisions on Southern Miss and Old Dominion, but whatever. For the most part, they made good decisions. I think Conference USA made decent decisions given what options they had lately, but they also kind of took on some programs that didn't do much. So anyway, we'll see. It's all up in the air, and we'll see if it really shakes up or if it just settles down. But it could be the rat race again to see who gets screwed and who ends up where.
Yeah. I'm trying to look that up real quick, but I think you're right. 2013 sounds right. And then, like you said, they made some good pickups and made it more competitive. And I would like to see Western be able to move up into a bigger conference. Of course, they got rid of the Big East, but that would be a track similar to like Louisville had. But the Big East has kind of gone defunct like Big Lots. But we'll see. So volleyball news.
Yeah, volleyball. Obviously had that tough schedule in the beginning of the year. Had a lot of ranked teams or nearly ranked teams. Now they're into conference play and they're shellacking everybody. They had their first full conference weekend, played Jacksonville State, and I don't think one set. Jacksonville State got into the 20s in a single set. It goes to 25, so they just Like there may have been one set in the second game or something that was in the 20s, but they just like completely blew them out. So Western should be the heavy favorite, pretty much to sweep. They should be the favorite to sweep even, not just win the conference, but they certainly should end up number one in Conference USA. And hopefully, with the strength of schedule and the quality they did show in their losses, they can still get a respectable spot in the tournament and fight for a Sweet 16 type of opportunity.
I would love to see, volleyball make it to an Elite Eight, Final Four. I mean, that would be icing on the cake for Coach Hudson's career. Yeah, I mean, even
incredible.
National title would be amazing.
They've had a tough. Really hard.
Yeah, they've had a tough. No, you're good. They had a tough couple of weeks, and I think this is going to really get them prepared for, for conference play. It sounds bad, but the past several years they've kind of had an easy time. I don't want to say easy, but once conference, tournament time started, but regular season they had a few speckled in hard opponents, but other than that, there really wasn't like the major opponents, or at least not in my opinion. But
yeah, I mean they had maybe a couple ranked teams or like Power 5 teams a year. This year they had murderers row in non-conference.
They really did.
There were very, very few non-conference games that they were just supposed to win. And the record showed that they were like 7-6 at one point, but they're starting to kind of pour on the wins, and they should pretty much sweep through the rest of the year unless they have some kind of major injury issue.
Skidmore and Bauer got Conference USA Players of the Week. That was on the 30th, so like a day or two ago. So congratulations to them. And then baseball real quick. Let's see. Baseball is going to be playing Tennessee in Nashville on the 25th. I just keep bringing it up so you all don't forget. That game is at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time at the Nashville Sound Stadium, First Horizon Park. Just so you remember, just throwing that out there. And then Matt, just a quick, you said you're going to talk about basketball real quick.
Yeah. Do you want me to cover the exhibition charity?
You go right ahead.
Okay. All right, bud. So first of all, something to be really aware of that should help out some charity. There's a charity basketball game against UAB at 2:00 on Sunday, October 27th. This is at Biddle. Proceeds go. There was a certain charity, and I just clicked away from it. Do you know what it was, Devin, offhand?
Nope, I just clicked away.
It's okay, buddy. But anyway, it's a game for charity. It's an interesting opponent. I mean, UAB and Andy Kennedy have been really good competition for WKU when they were in Conference USA. Now they're in the AAC, and really quality opponent. Should be a good measuring stick, first of all. But second of all, it's for charity, and it's so that obviously that we can give back as a program. So go to the game if you have any kind of chance to see the tops, and get your sneak peek, as well as support a really good cause. It doesn't say on the preview the charity exhibition.
Is it the Boys and Girls Club? I don't know. It's sponsored by them.
Yes. Okay. So it's Harold and Juanita Kuhn Teen Center at the Boys and Girls Club of Bowling Green.
There we go.
So proceeds from the tickets go straight to the Boys and Girls Club of BG. So obviously very good cause. Give back and go see a good basketball game. And then the other thing about Western basketball, they have started practicing. They've been, posting some stuff on social and everything about them starting. I did hear a few tidbits from some anonymous sources and everything. So it seems like they should, obviously Western returned a whole bunch of people and everything. But I think some of the additions should be pretty good too. I heard that the guy from Niagara, the guard, I forget his name offhand, but he supposedly should be there. It is Braxton Bayless.
I
He's
was like,
supposedly
he's from Niagara, as in like New York.
yeah well he's
Okay.
from Ankeny, Iowa, actually. Fun fact. But he went to Niagara, which is up near Niagara Falls, I believe. Um,
It would be
and
very weird if it wasn't.
it's true. These are facts. But anyway, supposedly he could be a pretty good player. And so they've added some good pieces. It seems like some things are coming together. Young guys are young guys, and some of the transfers seem like they could contribute. So, interested to see how they look. They're being picked by several people to kind of be the favorites in Conference USA, whether it's a write-up of an article or whether it's like they're starting to come out with some preseason recognition type of stuff. And so interested to see how the tops and the lady tops end up being this year. So keep an eye out for those.
Yes.
Bits.
Yeah. I think if you're in the area, go to the game, support the tops. I mean, that's a great charity to help out. I mean, how many teenage kids have an area that they can go to where they're not run off because they're teenagers? Because it's just automatically assumed that teens are going to do stuff they shouldn't be doing, and that's not always the case. So football talk. Matt's been looking forward to this for 4 days. So we're going to share a couple things real quick, share a couple photos. Western Kentucky ended up losing to Boston College over the weekend. And I screenshot these. I got them from ESPN. Photo credit to ESPN, so just ignore me. But we're showing the team stats real quick for the Boston College versus Western Kentucky. If you want to look through those, pause those. And then the next one is going to be Boston College's. If you want to look through those, pause now and look through that.
The pause button.
Do what?
Where's the pause button?
You don't have a pause button. You get to deal with this live. Let's see. Let's see. And then, of course, this is the team stats real quick. We'll go through those here in just a minute. But if you want to look at them, go ahead and pause. All right, back to us. Good to see our pretty faces. So that game Saturday, I'll give my opinion and let Matt give his because his is a lot more frustrating. But
frustrating or frustrated?
I said frustrated. And I'll admit it was a frustrating game because we were ahead. That game was like Indiana last year, where we were ahead the whole game, and then in the last few moments we lost. And basically, and I'm sure Matt thinks the same thing, but basically at halftime, it was almost to the effect of, the guys came out and it was like, well, don't lose this one. We're going to try and just delay and slow down, and we're not going to continue to hammer on and keep attacking. We're going to take a step back and say, oh, don't lose, which has been a reoccurring theme for Western, in the past few years. But it's a frustrating theme. Western had 355 total yards. We had, Boston College had a 285 total. We were hammering it out on the ground and in the air. We had over 100 yards rushing, 232 yards passing. They only had 117 rushing and 168 passing. We beat them up and down the field. Literally, we outgained them. We had a couple problems with interceptions, and we had a fumble that was lost, which I would almost argue that his arm was going forward when Caden went to throw that. And I would say that could be argued it was a incomplete pass, but we weren't going to get that call. We weren't going to get that call in Massachusetts. Matt, I don't know about you, but the funny thing for me was like I could look out in the crowd at the fans and I could just hear them. They're like, hey, where's my khakis? Hey, that's not the right pay. Hey, that's my Boston accent. So anyway,
Get the habit.
Yeah. Hey, what's a wise guy? What's going on here? Yeah, I think that wise guy's going for this trick play. Yeah, what is this? But anyway, you know, we had a lot more penalties, which is definitely what hurt us towards the end of the game. And there was some play calling that I thought was questionable. And I don't know if it was because they had it scripted and they were just going to do it anyway, which doesn't make sense. Or if they thought it was a great idea, which to me, if you've got it 2nd and 23 or whatever, I think it was 2nd and 23, and you decide to run it on a sweep or a zone outside, the only reason you do that is to line it up for field goal. In my opinion, you got the ball on the right hash or the left hash, then you run it the opposite way to try to get centered so your field goal kicker's got a straight shot. Like, I get that. But, like, that play's not tricking anybody. It's a straight run. There's not a double. It's not a reverse. It's not a double reverse. It's not a reverse pass. It's not a crazy pass down the field. It was designed run. You're not getting away from that. I don't even think it was an RPO. Like, that was the one that was frustrating to me. And I try to take myself back to the position of, this is a bonus game. That's where I'm trying to center myself. This was a bonus game, but at the same point, it's like we were that close to beating Boston College, who is not a good team. They are going to be
quarterback, not without their quarterback.
No, and they're going to end up like Indiana did in the Big Ten. You know, at the bottom of the barrel for the ACC. I was very frustrated. I was frustrated, but at the same point, I was trying to tell myself, this is a bonus game. We're going into conference play, and we're looking pretty good for a conference play. What were your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree that it was basically a bonus game, and you had to keep that perspective because, yeah, I mean, at the time on Saturday, I was definitely frustrated, and it wasn't just at one thing. There was probably there were definitely three things. Huh?
I said you were definitely frustrated.
Yeah, I was, and I still feel like I have valid points. But
you did. I'll give you
and
that.
I'm not on
Matt,
the wedge either.
Matt was, but you were like a step away from burning effigies of coaches. I'm just saying.
Oh my God! No, that's not really true. I haven't been on the edge of the cliff or anything, or just throw this whole season away or nothing like that. I feel like we should be the favorite with Liberty to win this conference. I don't think that they're better than us right now. They may get better, but right now we're just as good as Liberty. So there's no reason that we should not end up in the Conference USA Championship. Sam Houston may have something to say about that. They actually look pretty good this year. But
yeah.
It seems like it's one of those three programs or two of those three programs, they're going to be in the Conference USA Championship. It could be anybody. We have Sam Houston on the road and Liberty on the road, so that gives us the more difficult against what seems to be the two best teams. We'll see if any of that plays out. But I'm there as far as like preseason expectations are exactly where they should be, and I think the expectations are a little higher because, frankly, I didn't expect to beat Toledo, but we did, and we did it in a way that we could have. It could have been. They could have been much better than it was. You know, like there were some things that it took a while to click into place against Toledo, and we screwed up and gave them another chance to possibly win and still won. So there was some margin there where that game could have been more decisive, and that totally surprised me. I thought we would need to play great, and we did on defense for sure, but not offensively. So against Boston College, you know, you find out the day before that the quarterback is out. And that the guy that is his backup was the guy that we murdered 73-0 when he played played for FIU a few years ago. So that was an interesting wrinkle because you played him already at some random school like Boston College. He ends up there, and you're playing him, and then you got Kyle Robichaux, who was also a Hilltopper, and he had a really nice game. Played like he supposedly was possibly injured, and he came in and played like he was basically the starter. He was the best running back.
I thought so too.
So anyway, to set all that up, I feel like that was a game that we should have won in hindsight. I didn't come in expecting that we should win, but when you look at everything that happened, you get a lead and then you're up against the backup quarterback. You had opportunities that you could have extended some leads and taken care of business and won that game. You held a Power 5 school under 300 yards, which I didn't really realize until we were prepping the show that we didn't even give up 300 yards of offense against Boston College. That's very impressive. And the defense is looking like a legitimate, really good defense, and they're starting to force some turnovers and stuff like that. So it's really kind of coming into shape defensively. But I said there were three things that really bothered me against Boston College. I feel like in no particular order. And I think anybody that feels issues with any of these three is completely valid. I feel issues with all three of them. There's the refs. I think that I'm usually not a conspiracy theorist. I usually never prescribe to that crap. But definitely home cooking, exactly. There was definitely some Boston tea being cooked on the
brewed. You brewed
Yeah.
tea. I know that one at least.
They were brewing it. Yeah, so I don't know. They were having Samuel Adams in the locker room or something at halftime. I'm not sure, but anyway, it was really slanted. There was some stuff that it's like, okay, if you're going to call this on WKU, then you should have called this when the guy was blanketed earlier in the first half. You should have called this evenly. The guy clearly pushes off. They're both on each other. You don't call the penalty or something instead of calling or throwing the flag on WKU. Whatever it was, there was plenty of stuff that it's like, come on, this is not even. And Tyson was begging the officials. I could read his lips when he was talking at the end of the game when they were debating about taking away that defensive pass interference. He was like, just give me one call today. That's what he said. I could read his lips. He said, give me one call. Because we hadn't gotten a single call pretty much the whole game. It was very one-sided.
Definitely in the second half too.
Yeah. I mean, it was crucial calls too. It wasn't like these were just ticky-tack things that didn't matter. Some of them ruined some drives and took away opportunities to go take back the lead or whatever it was. These were significant, or it gave them the opportunity to continue their drive when they were down and really needed to score immediately. So that was very frustrating, and I do blame the refs some, and I usually don't. The other one was obviously Caden Belkamp. I think he's a young quarterback, and he still needs to develop. I think what we've seen in the game some is what they've seen in practice, and that's why they've hesitated to just name him, all Conference USA preseason, like caliber type of player, and that's why I think TJ Finley maybe won the job because he's young and he's making mistakes. He's doesn't have tons of pocket awareness. That's something that I've noticed as like kind of former QB manager. Like you learn some of the stuff that they learn in those drills, and there should be some more pocket awareness. And he's young; he's only a redshirt sophomore, so he's got 2.5 more seasons that he could potentially, get much better at some of these things. And then he's making some ill-advised decisions, throwing the ball, things like that. So some of it is not his fault.
I think he's forcing some throws too, like you were just saying.
Yeah. So he's incredibly accurate. Like he was, he had a game he threw 90%. He was pretty accurate this game, but some of the mistakes that he did make were very costly. And I do think one of the turnovers didn't really matter. Like it may have mattered, but it was on that 3rd and 7 that they were throwing a short pass and it was going to be 4th down anyway. And then they probably weren't going to get it. So it just kind of skipped a play and gave Boston College another 20 seconds in the game. So, I mean, I don't think it really affected anything. I think they would have gone for it, probably missed it, and it might have been a difference of 2 or 3 yards.
Yeah,
But it gave them some momentum. So
yeah, it was. There was one play, I don't remember the down and distance, but he threw it a little short. He should have thrown it over over the backside or outside shoulder there, and he threw it a little short and it was picked.
yeah,
And it was just one of those. It was like, it's like that's an experience thing.
yeah. I want to go back and rewatch it to kind of like break it down a little more to see some details. I haven't had that chance this week, but since it's a bye week, I might do that later and maybe talk on it next week or something. But I'm interested to go back and see.
Medicare is not driving you crazy, right?
Right, yeah, I got plenty of time to do whatever I feel like all the time. I don't have a job or anything, so.
Well, I said when Medicare is not driving you crazy. I didn't say you didn't have a job, but yeah, it
Well,
was.
some people who run podcasts have jobs that, quote unquote jobs that give them plenty of free time, I guess.
I guess, yeah. I
I wouldn't know what that's like. But the third issue that I take with the game was the decision making from Tyson Helton. I take issue with it. I've said this a few times, but something that bothers me is like when you have 4th and 1 or 2, and sometimes WKU has gone for it in like 4th and 4 when you're in field goal range. I have serious issue if it's like 4th and 4. This was 4th and 1. It's no score yet. I think it was on the very first drive. And you have the opportunity to take points and take the lead. My question to the people that say, okay, you should have gone for it, you should be aggressive. My question would be, you have 2 backup quarterbacks, not just one, because Caden Belkamp is also a backup quarterback. You have 2 defenses that are playing really well. You also have a tied game, and it's significant to take a lead, even if it's 3-0. It changes how everybody thinks of the game. It changes how everybody feels. So if you have 4th and 1 and you go for it, if you don't make it, you just threw away 3 points. If you make it, you still are only at like the 17-yard line. So you still have to go get at least one more first down or throw a touchdown and skip the first down. But you still might get another first down and still kick it, or you still might kick it a few plays later. So you're taking a risk for what? Like you are fairly unlikely to actually get the touchdown. The only difference is you're going to burn a little more clock and keep the defense off the field. Other than that, in my opinion, take the points. That's just my opinion. But I kept kind of thinking about it the whole rest of the game. Like, if we had these 3 points, all of this changes. At some point, we were up 20-7. If it was 23-7, they would have to get 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions, or they would have to score 3 times. And 2 of them would have to be touchdowns in order to come back. And it would have completely changed the game, and you end up losing by 1. That to me was there. You can obviously make a case on 4th and 1 that you could go ahead and go for it. I understand that school of thought, and I talked to a few people, former players and whatever, and they were like, "Yeah, I think we should have gone for it." Okay, fine. But in my personal opinion, it's not worth what you're risking to not just take the points. There have been too many situations with Tyson Helton that we've been aggressive, not gotten it, and then looked back and said, man, we could have used those 2 field goals that we went for it. We could have used that field goal instead of a touchdown and been fine. So I take issue with that. And then there was some other stuff that's like, burning timeouts. There were 2 timeouts that were burned in the second half. You really could have used those later in the game to give you another possession. And honestly, you're down 1 point and you have a timeout left to call at the very end of the game. Why are you not calling another timeout and make them take another knee? You don't know what the heck happens in those situations. There are too many examples where Mario Cristobal from Miami screws up and runs the wrong play. They fumble it, and then the other team ends up winning because you're an idiot. Make them make the right play and then go into the locker room and take your shower. For me, there was enough there that was like there were some decisions made that I just had a problem with, and I didn't feel good, and I don't feel like I can fully trust that when Western's in a tight game, that we can believe that Tyson Helton's going to make the right decision. There are times that he has been way too aggressive against big opponents and completely screwed us out of an opportunity to even be close. There are times that we've made a decision and you look back and you say that directly changed how this game was played. We should have won this. And so as good as the program is, as good as of a shape the football program's in, when it's close, it's hard to know if we're going to play it the right way strategically to get it done. So that was what I struggled with.
My point would be in some of your issues was you have to it's situational sometimes in coaching. So for instance, you got 4th and 4, and I don't remember what you said the yardage was, but you're obviously in field goal range. The kid can easily chip it in. Do you not have enough faith in your kicker to get the 3 points? Do you not have enough faith in your offense to get the 4 yards, or do you not have enough faith in your defense to stop them from marching back down the field and scoring? That's the thing. And like you said, I don't know what's going through Tyson Helton's number or through his head. Sorry. Somebody just texted me. But anyway, I don't know what's going through his head. So I can't say, well, this is what was going on. Well, this is what's going on. Even this is my mindset. I want to run to the line and see what they're going to run. See how they're lined up. Try and draw them off sides on that 4th and 4. Rush up there. Let's go. Caden under center. Blah, 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 let's do this, and then draw them off sides, call the timeout, whatever. Then kick your field goal. You get the 3 points. Because, like you said, it was what would you say, 20-3 or something at that point? You get the 3 points, or was it 20-7 still?
It was 20-7. And if we had taken the field goal to take the 3-0 lead, it would have been 23-7 later in the game, and that's when it mattered.
But that's hindsight too. You really don't know at that point in the game. Yes, I think you get the points when you can get the points. I agree with you there.
It's just football is good football. If that was an NFL game, which it's not, they're taking the field goal. They're kicking the field goal. For sure, they're taking the points.
Well, and
it's probably gonna be defensive. It's gonna be a defensive battle, or you're gonna get blown out. That's your 2 options. So if you plan on winning, take the points and treat it like a game that you need to value points.
And that's always been my frustration with the NFL is the overtime rule. First one to score wins. And it's like, you got field goal kickers that can kick like 80 yards. It's like, what is the point of I don't get it. So yes, I agree. You should take the points when you can get the points, but it's situational. And like I said, it makes me wonder how much faith he has in his kicking team. It makes me wonder how much faith he has in his defense, or if he thought, well, we've got the play right here, we can get the 4 yards. I don't know. And it's hard to tell what's in his head as far as that goes.
I mean, to be clear, it wasn't a 4th and 4. It was 4th and 1. So it was
Okay, well that's
I get it. Like if you get it, it's not as bad. But if you miss it, you sit there and look at it and you're like, you start to question all of it. And it's like
yeah,
you you need to have a play that you're really, really sure you're going to get. And they ran the QB draw that got them the fumble against Toledo
yeah,
that nearly cost the game then. That was your choice to start the game was the QB draw from
yeah,
shotgun.
yeah,
Okay.
and
If it's a
yeah,
you know,
I understand. I understand completely. Um, it was a frustrating game, and that's part of it. You win some, you lose some, and I will say I did call that we would either lose to Boston College or Toledo, but not both. That we would
look at
lose to
you,
one or the other. So
genius. Toot that horn, baby.
I
You
got to
toot
toot
that
it when I
horn.
can. I'm the only one that toots my own horn, so I got to toot it. Dang it.
Yes, sir.
But as far as Western goes, I'm looking forward to conference play because of the play against Boston College and Toledo.
Yeah,
I think we're doing
me
a lot
too.
better. I do have a lot of questions coming when Finley comes. So
Yeah, I don't with Caden making some mistakes, it opens the door for them to be like, well, it was TJ's job, and Caden has not been a mandate type of like he hasn't made it clear that he is the starter for sure and definitively better than Finley.
yeah,
He had a good game against Middle. Then he was not very good against Toledo and got lucky and he fired at the right time, which is nice to see.
yeah.
And then against Boston College, he had another bad game. So his two starts have not been good.
Well,
TJ's two starts were not good for him either.
and
Three
this is
starts.
this is his biggest game start, and that's what we were talking about the other day. They had 41,000 fans at that game for Boston College, and at least in my opinion, in the second half is when Boston College's fans kind of got back into it. I don't know if they sobered up or if they were ready to go home and look for the cause, but um, you know, they had 41,000 fans, and that's probably the biggest amount of fans he's seen at one time, at least for a start. He did play against Alabama, and he did atrociously. He had 11 passes and 2 yards.
He had 11 yards and it was like I think it was like 4 for 9, 11 yards or something.
Yeah.
Not
But
good.
yeah. So, but anyway, let's step into. Do you want to talk a little bit of UTEP? We'll just do a
Sure.
real quick
We can
synopsis
preview
of
a
it,
little bit. Yeah.
and then next week we can really get in depth if you want to. I've got
Yeah.
a few photos here for next week. Okay, so this is what ESPN's interns are saying. They're giving Western 87.7% chance to win. We obviously have a better record than they do right now. UTEP is 0-4. The season leaders right now, if you want to look at these a little closer, we got Caden Velkamp. He is 76 for 108, 800 yards, 883 actually, 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. We got Elijah Young, 63 carries, 218 yards. And then we got Mr. Johnson leading our receiving core, 392, 4 touchdowns. The last 4 or 5 games for UTEP has not been very good. They've lost all 5 previous games. Pause those and look at those when you get a chance. And then the last 5 for Western. Those of you who've been watching know exactly how that's going. So this game will be next week. Just so you know, it will be next week on the 10th, October 10th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central at in Bowling Green. It's going to be on ESPNU for those of you who cannot make it. Matt, let's just do a real quick thoughts on this game, and then next week we'll go into it a little bit more in depth because I think they actually didn't UTEP have a game this week because
I believe
they're
so.
not on a bye too. I don't think.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up here.
They've got Sam Houston on CBS Sports Network.
Boy, okay, that's interesting. That'll tell you a lot about both teams. So like I said, maybe 10 minutes ago or so, I mean, Sam has looked really good this year.
Yeah.
I think they're
second conference.
Yeah, are they 4-1 or?
Yes. Yeah. Overall, they're
Yeah.
4-1, 1-0 in conference. Right behind Liberty, who's 2-0, 4-0. So.
Yeah. So I mean, Sam has looked really good. And I'm just, if we're going to toot our horns and everything, I had said before the season began that I thought Sam Houston could really. I thought that Sam could really take a big step this year. They had amazing defense last year. Like it was really, really like nationally good, but
Yeah.
their offense was nationally the worst for about 8 or 9 games of the season. Anyway, so I think this is a good measuring stick to see, okay, is Sam for real? Does UTEP have a prayer? Because UTEP is 0-4, and Sam, I don't really know who all they've played. I can try to look that up, but we don't really know much about either of these teams. UTEP was in the conversation in the very beginning of the year as possibly being a dark horse in Conference USA, and that has not happened at all. They look horrible. They got
they've got Nebraska.
Yeah.
Nebraska. They got
lost to
blasted
Southern Utah
by 3. Yes,
Yeah.
27-24. They lost to Liberty 28-10 and Colorado State 27-17.
Right. So one thing that tells me is they haven't done well. Losing to an FCS is terrible. But they also have had remotely respectable results against Colorado State and Liberty only beat them 28-10. So that tells me that they're competitive enough that they can give you a game. So you don't want to screw around with them. And they're also probably pretty pissed off and desperate.
Yeah.
So that's a dangerous team. If they lose to Sam Houston, they're going to be 0-5. And like you know how it is in the locker room, no matter how terrible you are and how delusional you are, you're 0-5, you're thinking, well, we gotta win this game so we can, have a chance to go to a bowl game. We'll get it together. And this is the week, right? That's what they're going to be thinking. So they're going to come in ready to go. If they beat Sam Houston, they're going to be living high on the hog and they're going to have tons of confidence and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So either way, I would hope that they're taken very seriously because they're way better than an 0-4 football team. They're probably more like a 2-2.
Yeah.
If they had played a different schedule, they may have a win or two. If they didn't screw up against the FCS, you'd look at things a little differently. So don't let that cloud your judgment would be my thought. I mean, I think UTEP is viable, but Western should absolutely win, and it's at home, and they're having to travel from across the country, so you should have the upper hand on a lot of this. But
at least the jet lag,
not a complete pushover.
Yeah, definitely jet lag. We're gonna have the advantage on jet lag. So, but looking at the Liberty
change.
Looking at the UTEP Liberty scoring, into the first quarter, it's 3-7. And going into halftime, it's 14-3. UTEP comes out and scores. It's 10-14. That's a close game for the one that's number one in conference right now, and the one that's probably in dead last are close to it. And then you got, and of course, Liberty ended up pulling away 21-10, 28-10, but still, like, that says something to me is they came out at half with 12:26 to go in the third, and they had a touchdown, and they were within 4 points of beating Liberty. So, like Matt said, I think they're going to come to play. They're going to try their best to pull this season out and try and, they want the Mountain West to see them at their best, because it's going to affect them down the road. But we'll talk more about it next week. We'll get more previews and stuff. And we'll talk to y'all next week as far as more UTEP stuff. And I'm going to post the upcoming events. They will pop up here, and you'll see them in one of these two areas. But check back with us next week, guys. We're going to talk some more sports. Enjoy the bye week. Watch some Hilltopper Vault football. Tell us what you think about the game. And as always, guys, go Tops.
Tops.